Welcome back, everybody, to the third part of our end of the year podcast. Once again, joined by John, Steven, and Zach. And we're going to talk about 2012. We're going to talk about predictions, games we're looking forward to, and going to start off with John. Are we going to see new consoles in 2012?
We might see the ambulance. Wii U, Wii U. I'm not claiming originality on that at all, but
I think you're right. I think we'll see the Wii U either at the end of the year or beginning of 2013. We're definitely going to see the Vita. But do you think we're going to see the first rumblings of PlayStation 4 and Xbox 720?
You know, it would not surprise me if we start to see very early things at E3 of this year or possibly CES of next year. And when I say next year, I mean CES 2013. Mm-hmm. I don't think that we're going to see the release of a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox 720 or whatever number they're going to throw on it this year. But I think that definitely developers are going to start getting dev kits towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
Do you think Sony's going to try to not rush to market, but try to not give Microsoft the very commanding head start they give them this time?
I think that they're going to try and come out even to the gate, and because you know what? It's tough. The advantage for time doesn't always work with the advantage over technology, but I think that the technology at this point, even if you wait 1 year, is not going to be significant enough to make up that time head start. This is not a Dreamcast versus PlayStation 2 scenario.
Yeah, I think also too, if you rush to, on the other hand, like if you rush to market, you run the risk of like ending up in a 3DS situation where it was released too soon just to beat Vita to market. I mean, like when did the 3DS finally start getting some traction? Like last month or the month before?
Yeah, but that's kind of par for the course. I mean, we kind of forget that.
I don't know. You know what? I don't mean to cut you off, Rob.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Vita has one of the strongest launch lineups I've seen for a system in a long, long time.
Yeah, like I've never seen a launch where I was like, man, I want that, and I definitely want that. Like there's I want like 4 games on it already, and that's like unheard of.
So they the Vita did just launch in Japan, and it had a really strong opening couple of days, but by the end of the week, sales had dropped in a rather large amount. Yeah, so I don't know if that's just the strength of the launch lineup here versus in Japan, or if it's just that it's new hardware that you don't have Monster Hunter for yet.
Yeah, it's really weird. The PSP, the second week the Vita was out, the PSP outsold the Vita, and I want to say that has to do with Monster Hunter.
If you've been to Japan, there's no doubt. I mean, Zach, back me up here.
No, everyone's playing Monster Hunter. Especially now that the Circle Pad Pro is out, and Monster Hunter Monster Hunter 3G?
3GS?
3G, I don't think so. I think it's just 3G. I don't know, some weird naming convention of Monster Hunter Portable, not Portable, 3G or not G, whatever, for the 3DS.
Wait, Capcom had a weird naming convention?
Ha ha ha. But yeah, so now that that's out for the 3DS, and along with the Super Mario 3D Land and Mario Kart 7, and all of these other games that have been coming out that have been bumping up the 3DS sales to a very large degree. I think that it's gonna, until you get Monster Hunter for the Vita, there's not gonna be that same.
I completely agree. Just based on what I saw, it's amazing what effect that series has. It's nuts.
Yeah. Well, go ahead if you're going to talk about
Rob talk.
Well, my only thing was that I agree with what John was saying. To go back a step, I don't think we're going to see too much about the next major consoles besides Wii U this year. But I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we're at a point where every developer is kind of making money. They're making money on the units. They're selling a good amount. Video games are selling. They become mass market again. It's not like when you first bought a PlayStation 3, it was almost 2 years before you had anything more than just that little section of an EB games with maybe 20 or 30 PlayStation 3 games.
Like Lair.
Yeah, and it was awful. And like now we're at the best part in a console's life cycle. And I feel like in the last console generation, by introducing the 360 so quickly, we skipped that golden age. And I that really bummed me out because
are you talking about for the original Xbox? Because the PlayStation 2's life cycle was forever.
Right. And the PlayStation 2 kept going, but like we had reached a really cool point with the GameCube and the Xbox and the PlayStation 2 where we were getting really awesome, great-looking games.
We continued to get those for the PlayStation 2, though. When the PlayStation,
right.
And actually that may have harmed the PlayStation 3 more than it helped.
That's true. It's just I don't want to pick up new hardware just yet. The games still look good to me. I'm still enjoying them. I still have functionality out of my system. I'm not ready for new hardware.
Sorry, Steven, go for it.
Well, I was going to say, too, I mean, look at the amount of games that come out now, too. I mean, it's almost silly to just jump to a new console now because, I mean, people do stand to make a ton of money, and we stand to play a lot of awesome games. I mean, I have a stack. I can't even count how many games I'm looking at right now that I'm in the middle of playing that, you know, I'm backed up from like half of the year. So, like, I don't know. It seems like now is the time when we start seeing games like, you know, Chrono Trigger and the Persona games and just all that awesome stuff that comes out at the end of a life cycle. If we sit here for a while, we may get a lot of games like that.
Yeah, I have 2 quick points that I want to make. On the one, just to agree with Rob and John, I don't think that we're going to see a new Xbox or PlayStation on shelves next year, but I do think that if Microsoft and Sony are smart, they're going to bring it out at E3 before the Wii U has a chance to attract any really large audience by saying, you know, like, look at the graphics, because, you know, like, if Microsoft and Sony are smart, they're probably going to come out, like, let's say late 2013, maybe mid to late 2013, and come out, you know, that much stronger than the Wii U if they can, possibly with a Halo 5 on Microsoft's front, and I don't know, something from, like, you know, something big on Sony's front.
The Last of Us 2.
See, I really don't think that at this point Microsoft and Sony are looking at the Wii U as a serious competitor to whatever they push next.
I agree.
I hope not, but anyways, the second point I wanted to make was while regardless of what happens with the next generation of consoles, I think that something that we've experienced a lot over the past year or so is getting to the end of a generation of IPs. Of, you know, like, we've got this year Uncharted 3, Gears of War 3, Portal 2, you know, just so many sequels upon sequels upon sequels that are kind of perhaps not overstaying their welcome, but like Assassin's Creed Revelations.
Which is the fifth Assassin's. No, 1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth game.
It's Assassin's Creed 2, 3. If we were to take Final Fantasy naming conventions.
Yes, it is.
And I think that something needs to happen, not necessarily with the consoles, but new things need to happen, or else it's going to slow down a lot. Because if we see Uncharted 4, not the Vita title, you know, but like an actual numbered Uncharted 4, and if, you know, I can't imagine that we'd see Gears of War 4 based on how it ended, or, you know, like Uncharted 4 would be silly. You know, Portal, we'll probably see something else, but, you know, Valve time. So,
yeah, I feel like we're already seeing the end of that, though. Like, I agree with you completely. I think that, you know, not that Uncharted overstayed its welcome, but it's kind of, you know, it's run its course, and I think they recognize that. Like, I don't think Naughty Dog intends to make another one because they're moving on to that Last of Us game, and, you know,
True.
Epic is working on the Minecraft clone or whatever it is.
I'm glad somebody else said that.
I think that game companies know full and well when they can stop milking a franchise.
Ubisoft does.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is like, we're going to see another Assassin's Creed next year.
Yeah,
and it may be Assassin's Creed 3, but
hopefully it's an Assassin's Creed that's in a steampunk world or some kind of thing that might actually be fun. But
you know what Ubisoft is reminding me of right now, and I hate to say it because I love the series.
Sonic.
They're pulling a Kingdom Hearts right now.
Oh.
Kingdom Hearts 2, and then like 10 unnumbered sequels that are not really advancing that part of the game. I mean, come on.
One thing I wanted to make note of is it's not as if abuse of franchises is a new thing. Like,
No.
yeah, we had a higher percentage of newer IPs in the 16-bit era and 32-bit era, but you know what? The games that were successful got milked. How many Spec Ops games were there? Like 12?
How many Mega Man games were there?
You know, it's not as if sequels are ever going to go away, but yes, there are going to be times where an IP will run its course. You know, we're just seeing a new Twisted Metal game for the PS3 after how long since the last one? Twisted Metal Black.
I certainly don't mean to suggest that like all sequels should be burned at the stake, but
5 sequels in 5 years.
Yeah, we're getting to a point where something needs to change, and something is changing. You know, like we see BioShock Infinite, which might as well be a new kind of thing based on what we've seen, and we get The Last of Us, and I just want to see something more, and I feel like a console shift may or may not help that.
I just want to poke at Steven because I like doing this. How many Musou games or Warriors games have we seen? Because it's been way more than 5 in 5 years.
It's been
the Dynasty Warriors game.
Well, they're Musou, so
yeah.
I mean, you have the Samurai Warriors ones, the Dynasty Warriors ones, the
Gundam ones in Japan.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, lots of Gundam ones. They're really popular.
Well,
I saw one of those. It's like exactly the same, just with robots.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's special audience of people who likes Musou games.
People are like rabid about those too. Like you can't mess with people who like those.
Yeah. So I want to go back to the point. I thought Rob was actually going to talk about the Vita when I let him talk.
I'm sorry.
And then he went back, and now me talking about how awesome the Vita launch lineup is now like, wow, where's that coming from? Even though it was topical when I was trying to talk about it.
I'm sorry.
Okay. I would like you to talk about this as well.
But, I just want to go back. None of these are RPGs, but all of these are titles that are going to be out on launch day. Hot Shots Golf, Mod Nation Racers, Uncharted, Wipeout, Blaze Blue.
Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom. Full console game.
Yeah, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom, Touch My Katamari, Dynasty Warriors.
Ooh la la.
I don't want to.
Rayman Origins. I didn't realize there was Rayman before
Yeah.
Vita.
It's coming out on Vita? That's awesome. I wanted to play that.
Yeah, I might just pick that up for Vita.
Yeah, I think the Vita is going to be a lot of fun. I'm hoping that we see, kind of a resurgence of different types of handheld games. We've talked before about how I like to play very different things on a handheld system.
One thing I want to see. I'm getting the Vita First bundle, which comes with little Deviants. And
bad things.
Oh, I like Big Big. Big Big's made good games before.
No, I've just heard it's impossible to control, but I
but that's why I want to try it out, because it uses the back touch screen and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we want to see if it works. So.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there'll be like that, that growing pains period where they can't quite get it right. And then in a year or so, you're going to see some games that probably use it in a pretty meaningful and kind of cool way.
Okay. Well, all right. So I think I'm going to shift gears a little bit and give it over to Steven. Steven, I want you to tell us what is the biggest game you're looking forward to this year, the one that you're most excited about, and then maybe a couple of predictions.
The biggest game I'm looking forward to at this exact moment.
Hey, you should steal Rob's thunder and say Diablo 3.
Oh my God! I almost forgot about that. Wow, I have a two-way tie and a runner-up.
I think that's cheating, Steven.
It's definitely cheating, but I'm going to do it anyway. Obviously, because I've been looking forward to it since Diablo 3. I mean, we've played the beta. We know it's already awesome. I just finished reading the Book of Cain. I know who the bad guys in Diablo 3 are going to be. It's just that game is pretty much a foregone conclusion. I know I'm going to love it, and it's just a matter of how much. And tied with that for first is Mass Effect 3, because the fact that we started this series like a couple of years ago and we're making decisions then that are only now going to come to a head is it's sort of like what would have happened if there had been a Baldur's Gate 3. I mean, your decisions carry over in an even more meaningful way in Mass Effect than they did in Baldur's Gate, and that game looks like it's just going to be stellar. Yeah, so it looks pretty sweet.
What's your runner-up?
Oh no, I forgot.
Oh boy, Steven.
Well, whatever.
It's Xenoblade because we couldn't talk about it.
No, I already know I like that. That doesn't count. No. It's all right. We won't worry about it. I already said two. If I remember it, I'll bring it up.
All right, predictions.
Predictions.
Oh, by the way, we got a lot of predictions wrong last year.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
Close to right.
we got some right.
My first prediction is that at some point this year, someone's going to realize at Sony that it's a great idea to put PS2 classics on the Vita.
Oh, I hope so.
And that's going to be. So. That's going to be. I hope beyond hope that they are smart enough to do that.
Now, wait. Just one quick question: does the Vita have two shoulder buttons?
It has a back touch screen.
Okay, so you can use back touch, I guess, to stand in as L2 and R2.
Yeah.
The PSP has PS1 backward compatibility, and it works fine. You know, you can map like the analog stick to it or whatever. It's not completely beyond doing.
Like it won't be great for some games, but for others it will be completely functional.
Okay.
Yeah, like for the games I want to play, which would be the Shadow Hearts and Digital Devil Saga, which will probably never get a classics release anyway. It would be just completely awesome.
I don't know. Look at the games that came out as PS2 classics: Odin Sphere and Grim Grimoire.
That's true.
You know, we had more obscure PS2 titles come out on the PS3, PS2 classics.
That's very true. So that could be good news. I think we will see that. I don't know how soon we'll see it. I don't know what we'll see on it. We'll probably see, Ridge Racer or something. But I that's my major prediction, and I hope that we see that. I also predict that nobody will be surprised that Diablo 2 sells a ton. And
Diablo 2?
Diablo 3. And nobody will be surprised when they announce the console port halfway through the year.
All right. I can see that happening. All right, who's next? Who wants to step up to the plate now?
I guess, it's me or you, Rob.
Well, I think it's...
I didn't get to talk about any games. Rob was just
all right, fine, John. Fine, Mr. Grand Lord of the Universe. He's going to fire his diamond 2 times over. Go ahead.
Bizarro!
Can go, but
Bizarro.
I get to go too.
All right, Zach, you go, and then I'll give it to John, the little ramp.
Okie dokie. For games... it's tough because you have the obvious picks like Diablo and Mass Effect. I'm interested to see what they do with the South Park game.
Oh yeah, that
does supposed to be 2012. We don't really know too much about it besides it's supposed to be Paper Mario, but South Park. Oh, they announced the last class. It's the Jew.
Yeah,
Jesus God.
And I'm a Jew, so I might do that.
And apparently, the game will react to you differently if you're a Jew. Like Cartman will be more inclined to make fun of you, and that just sounds
so weird.
I am incredibly happy to see how that turns out. I guess happy is not the word that I wanted there, but that's what I said. So, you know what? Obsidian's a great developer. They have lots of great stuff, and the fact that Stone and Parker have direct hands-on with this, I think that it could be amazing.
Yeah, I really agree. I'm very excited to see that. Good call, Zach.
I'm really looking forward to that. And as we've talked about a bunch, Amalur looks really good.
Yeah.
So when we were thinking about it, when I was thinking about what sorts of games were coming out, I just couldn't think of anything. Just really nothing stood out to me. But then the more I think about it, there's a lot of. It seems like next year might be a better year for quality over quantity. So I'm looking forward to that. Mm-hmm. Predictions. I'm gonna bring one back. I want Persona 5. I want it.
I think you have a better chance.
So wrong.
I think you have a better chance
wrong this year, and I really wanted to be right. But hopefully Persona 5 will come out. Also, let's see, Versus 13. It's a
What's
thing.
That?
It's still a thing. That's my prediction.
You think it's actually a thing?
I think it's still a thing. They had gameplay. It was like Kingdom Hearts, but
you know what's going to happen with Versus 13 is the guys from Platinum are going to show up at
and make an awful trailer for it.
No, they're going to make up a word to call it Revengeance or something like that.
That's not like something Square Enix would allow to happen too. Do you think they're going to retitle it?
I hope so.
I have no idea. I think that's an awful title.
Probably not.
Retitle Metal Gear Rising?
No,
versus 13.
Versus 13, because they retitle Final Fantasy Agito 13.
Oh, yeah, they're going to retitle it. They're going to retitle it.
I hope they do, but we'll see. You know, I don't know. I don't have a legitimate prediction about that, but I kind of want to hear about it. Persona 5, I think that we'll see something, going back to last year's prediction, actually, either Persona 5 or Shin Megami Tensei 4, like numbered title or something Shin Megami Tensei. But I would like to hear about Final Fantasy Versus 13 because that looked interesting. When they had their gameplay trailer, what was it? Was it this past
almost a year ago.
TGS, or was it over a year ago? When it looked like Kingdom Hearts, but slightly more.
I think
boring.
I think Versus 13. If you don't see anything about it by TGS, it's done.
I mean, that's like you got like a 9-month window there, so I really
I
hope that you would see. So, like, I agree. If they don't show it until after TGS or at TGS, that is.
This was a game that was one of the launch announcement titles for the PlayStation 3.
Really?
Yeah. It was one of the they showed it alongside Final Fantasy 13. Yeah. Okay. This game has been a long time coming.
I don't know.
And you know what makes me dread that too is that you hear all that story about how 13 was kind of like a long time coming and like nobody could decide on what they wanted it to be, and that's why it ended up being, the game that it was instead of the game that people thought it might have been. And I'm sort of worried that the same thing is just happening with this.
So Versus 13-2 will be good, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Arc.
Oh, also Dragon's Dogma looks good.
It
looks interesting.
There's no multiplayer in that game,
there
right?
Isn't? No, I thought there was. I thought it was 3-player multiplayer.
If it's 3-player,
it's Capcom Dark Souls.
It looks like Capcom makes Dark Souls plus Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting. I don't know. But if we do, that looks interesting.
It looks interesting. I'll agree with that. I like how everybody thought it was a new Dragon.
Dragon Quest?
No, everybody thought it was a new Breath of Fire game.
Oh yeah.
Everybody, I almost called it Dragon Quarter, thinking,
Well, Dragon Quarter is one of the.
Yeah, I know. I got screwed up with the naming convention. So
that was a cool game too.
All right, those are pretty good predictions. Anything else you want to throw out there?
Fallout 4, just for fun.
Actually, I think we will see that. That's a good call.
Because it will have been 2 years since Vegas.
Fallout 4 would be in-house at Softworks, so it would be 2013.
Oh. Well, maybe we'll see it. I don't know. Wait,
I think we'll see a lot of Skyrim DLC.
Because they did, right, okay, yeah.
We'll see a lot of Skyrim DLC this year. Horse armor!
I disagree with that. They said they were going to do expansions. They said they didn't want to do small DLC.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they'll do like...
Wait. I have something to say just real quick, which is I love when people make self-deprecating jokes in this industry. The Pete Hines, he's the head PR guy. He's VP of sales and marketing, I think, at Bethesda. He was tweeting when Skyrim first came out, and he said, "My horse just died. If only you could have purchased some armor to have presented."
That was funny. I liked that. All right, John, are you ready for what are your big games of next year, and what are your predictions?
All right, Amalur, which I've talked at length about. I don't need to talk more at that. I'm actually really looking forward to Grand Knight's History, which it's really odd to say that I'm looking forward to a PSP game coming out after the Vita has launched.
Is that the one with the large things?
No, that's Dragon's Crown.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's the offline online game.
Same developer, though. It's Vanillaware.
Right.
But no, Dragon's Crown is the Vita one, which I'm also looking forward to, though now that Bettenhausen's not at Ignition, I hope that goes on track for localization. But no, Grand Knight's History is a traditional RPG from Vanillaware. It's coming out for the PSP. Honestly, I can't say that I know a whole lot about it, but I like Vanillaware and I like traditional RPGs, so I'm going to say that I'm looking forward to it.
John, isn't that the one where like they say it's like an online game, but it's also offline? Like there are other players in the world, like training knights or whatever, and like
I wish I could tell you. I've kind of gotten into this habit where until it's like 2 months before a game comes out, I try and keep myself in the dark if I'm not writing about it.
Fair enough.
because I don't want to know unless I have to know. Because I don't know, it gets tough when for a long, long time I was like 4 months ahead of the curve where the games people were just getting excited for were games that I was getting hands-on with.
Yeah, and that kind of screws up your perception about what's going on and what people are going to be excited about.
Yeah, so if I'm not writing about something, I try not to get a whole great deal of information about it. And that's a big shift for me because I used to consume every single piece of information I could about any game. But I was also doing news for the website, so I'm not doing news anymore. I don't have to read every single article.
That's Zach's job now.
Don't you know it?
So I can't tell you big details about it, but I know that I'm excited for it because it's a traditional RPG from Vanillaware being localized by Xseed.
Yeah, those all sound like good things.
So predictions. I had one and then I forgot it. Well, isn't that a kick in the pants? I really did have one, and then we went off on a tangent. And
do you want me to go and then you can think about it?
Yeah, I'm going to think about this. I had something.
Okay, all right. So what am I looking forward to next year? Well, obviously, Steven has already said it. Diablo 3 is right at the top of my list. I'm going to surprise some people right now. The game that I am most excited for next year is Xenoblade. I am most excited to play this game from what everybody's talked about. I kind of expected everyone to guffaw right there and just be like, what?
Well, it's not surprising. Xenoblade is awesome.
Well, yeah, it's just it didn't get a reaction. But I'm excited to play it because people are saying that it pushes the JRPG forward, and I know that a lot of our listeners say that we don't really cover JRPGs enough, and that I in particular hate JRPGs. And I'm sorry for that perception, and I think there may be a layer of truth in that when it comes to me personally and what I'm looking for in a game. But Xenoblade, if it pushes that type of game forward, I'm very excited to play it.
When does it come out?
April.
I got to cut Rob off because I remember what my prediction was.
Okay, fine. Steal my thought.
No, you're talking about Xenoblade. We've talked about Xenoblade. We know, and I'm interested in Xenoblade too. Xseed will publish Extreme Escape Adventure, Good People Die, sometime this year.
Oh, I really hope so.
That looks so cool.
I could really get behind that.
Is that really only like that's 3DS and Vita, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Damn it! All right, I guess I need a Vita.
Corpse Party is pretty sweet, actually.
I heard it was scary.
You know what? I don't know if we need to review that or not. I hear that it's a visual novel, but I'm not sure.
I think if we cover To the Moon, we should be covering that. They're practically the same exact style of gameplay.
All right. Well, someone get on that.
Not me. Predictions for next year. I predict, and this goes back to what we kind of started off the show with, I predict we will hear about Dragon Age 3 next year, and it's going to be a return to Origins. It's going to go back in that direction. I think that the fan outcry over 2 was loud enough, and I think BioWare heard it. I think they kind of realized that maybe the idea of annualizing a series like Dragon Age that took quite a long time to make. The first Dragon Age Origins, I mean, we saw those original screenshots. Good Lord, that game was in development for a long time. I think it's going to go backwards rather than forwards.
No.
Not in a bad way, but in terms of like going back to what made Origins special while maintaining like the combat system from 2.
We had a big argument about this while we were doing our warm-up. And I disagree, and I think Zach disagreed too. I don't think Steven was here yet.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are good to disagree with me. I just that's what I personally think. I think it's going to have more in common with Origins than it will with 2. Maybe that's wishful thinking on my part.
I hope
so.
I really, like I said, I think I said it earlier in the show. I really don't think we're going to see that. I think we're going to see a Mass Effect style compromise between 1 and 2. I don't think we're ever going to see one that looks, like a Baldur's Gate game again. Maybe they'll throw that camera in there to please the PC crowd again, but I'm pretty sure that the stylized crazy stuff happens with each button is going to stay.
I'm still, I think it's going – if it's a compromise, then that's better than what we got with 2. So I would still take that. Like, I want to see the character interactions and the world interactions that made Origins so great, and I want to have a little bit more control over my character. Like, I loved playing the game as a dwarf. I loved playing the game as a human. I loved playing it as an elf.
Hey, you know what? I'm calling it now. Dragon Age 3 is going to be an Xbox exclusive, and it's going to be a Kinect game.
Oh, my God.
And you can wave your hands around to cast Hawk spells as it puts you on rails through Kirkwall.
Ooh, we should all get excited for Fable: The Journey.
Ooh.
I think that was what Steven was just making fun of.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another prediction. I don't know. Like, I don't think there's going to be. I kind of talked about Versus 13 a little bit, but I could throw something out there. Like, I really hope we hear about Witcher 3 next year, but I think it's too soon. But I would really like to.
I think.
I remember my third game.
Okay, you go.
Witcher 2 on Xbox 360.
Phantom Dust 2. No, it's 13-2.
Dude, Phantom Dust 2 would be awesome.
Thank you. Someone that's actually played that. Good lord.
Dude,
Phantom Dust is the best game.
Steven,
on
we're
Xbox.
losing you. We're losing you, Steven.
Hello?
You're just
Your connection is being spotty.
How about now?
better.
Okay, cool. Phantom Dust is the best game on the original Xbox, period.
I never played that. I really needed
I never
to.
played it either. I'm not even familiar with it.
Isn't it from Software?
Actually, I think it is. It was published by Majesco, though, because Microsoft didn't opt to pick it up from Japan because they didn't think it would be good enough.
That and Otogi I've been meaning to play. Both are from Software games, but I don't know. I don't know if they're backwards compatible.
Is Phantom Dust the mech game, or am I
No.
thinking?
Phantom Dust is... Go ahead, John.
All right, no, you're thinking of Metal Wolf Chaos, which is also a fantastic game.
Oh yeah, that's the one where you're the president of the United States in a mech suit.
Yes. Also a From Software game.
Yep, they make great games over there.
No, okay, so Phantom Dust is an action RPG-ish trading card game almost, where you create a deck of abilities and you go out and you duel with those abilities, but it's an action game. And when it's sorry. I think we're both going to say it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's what Magic the Gathering would be if they correctly translated it to a video game that wasn't just you playing the card game.
All right. Well, From Software, get on that.
They tried to a couple of times and didn't do a good job at it.
Yeah, and it's just spectacular.
So Steven's excited about Final Fantasy 13 too. I'm hoping that we hear something about Witcher 3.
I had a last thingy.
The last prediction?
Yes. I think that we're going to see more games that are top quality from Japan this year.
Absolutely.
I would hope
I hope so.
I think over the past 2 or 3 years, we've seen kind of lower quality games from Japan, and it's been unfortunate, and I think that we're really going to see some top-tier Japanese games, and I think that's not just limited to the RPG space.
Hey, my favorite game of this year was a Japanese game.
By From Software. From Software is clearly the man of the hour, or the woman.
Something like that.
Developer, I think, might be.
Yeah.
Men and women.
How quickly do you think until we see Dark Souls 2?
Not this year.
I think you're right. I don't think it's going to be this year. I think maybe we'll hear rumblings about it at TGS 2013. But it took them a long time to make Dark Souls. Like, if you take the time from the Japanese release date of Demon Souls, I mean, it took them over 2 years. So, I think we'll see another one, though.
I think we'll see Metal Wolf Chaos, too.
We're definitely going to see a Dark Souls, too, and I'm excited for it.
Phantom Dust 2, up in here.
So, has anybody else got any wild, crazy predictions you want to throw out there that we can then laugh about this time next year?
Final Fantasy XIV will shut down by the end of next year.
Capcom releases a new Mega Man. Oh, wait.
Did you guys see that there's been rumblings that we're going to see Final Fantasy 15 this year?
I heard about that, yeah.
Final Fantasy Versus 13 is Final Fantasy 15.
You know, that
that would
be
seem
on to something there.
That's my revised 13 prediction.
And that would fit with them getting 3 Final Fantasy titles with a number on them on a console.
Wow.
Ooh la
We
la.
just solved it right there.
Do we think 14 is going to come out this year?
No, it's the late 2012, early 2013. I thought was the
that
new.
thing is that doomed? Because I mean, no one's going to buy it again.
I'm telling you, 14 too. It's coming. I hope they market it as such.
We're even more doomed than it was. I just had a bunch of lag. I don't know if what I said came through.
I had lag as well.
Yeah, say it again, John.
I don't think that Final Fantasy XIV PS3 is going to be a product.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be PC only.
I think the problem with the version 2 thing is that the game has failed. Everyone sees it as a failure, and nobody's going to see it as anything but a patch.
Well, what's interesting is the one possibility that I've heard and that I think might work is if they rebrand it, if it ceases to be Final Fantasy XIV
and is instead True Fantasy Live Online.
That game looked awesome.
But even if they just rebrand it as Final Fantasy Online,
yeah,
that would be smart.
I would agree with that. I'd agree with that.
Can we get a PH on the fantasy?
Ooh. Oh, do we? What about Phantasy Star Online?
Oh my gosh! How did I forget about that? That's my number 1 most anticipated thing, along with Mass Effect and Diablo 3.
Are you moving back to Japan though? Because
we ain't getting that.
We're not getting that for a while.
Japanese PC games don't often come to North America.
Yeah, we're still waiting on that.
I can play it in Japanese, bro.
We're still waiting on that Dragon Ball MMO to come over here.
I'm not.
I am. I want to play as Piccolo.
Prediction: there will be a dub or sub or whatever of that awesome-looking Phoenix Wright movie.
Oh, please, God! Please, God!
Is it live action?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Is that out in Japan, on DVD yet? Because I'm looking for.
No, it comes out, I think, in theaters in February. But Game Informer posted some pictures today of the best hair.
I was going to say, it's Japan, so they definitely got the hair perfect, didn't they?
I've been looking for a project for my Japanese class next semester. We're going to translate something, and so...
Oh, John. It's so true. They did keep the hair perfect.
The hair is fantastic.
Oh, my God.
I love Japan so much.
Oh, my God.
Japan never, ever lets me down when it comes to stuff like this. Oh, my God, the one dude has the same hair, the Persecutor or whatever. Or the guy with the red...
Miles Edgeworth, yeah.
Yeah, that's just perfect.
Oh God, I forget the girl's name. No.
Oh, the Afro girl. I know who you're talking. Yeah. Oh my.
I love who they picked for Uji. It's really good.
God, there's a freaking parakeet. Cockatiel. Sorry. Oh my.
Phoenix Wright up in here.
There we go. Best movie of 2012, right there.
Okay.
So any other surprises for 2012, guys, or is that...
I think that's it.
I think it's going to be kind of not a slow year, but I think it's kind of a year of, who's going to fire the first shot at the new console war. So there's going to be, a lot of tension and unease and kind of are they going to do it? Are they not going to do it?
It's definitely a transition year. I mean, between the consoles and the IPs and Vita and that, gets war with the 3DS. It's not a bad analogy. But, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to a more metered year with more deliberate pacing, to use one of my favorite terms.
I hope we continue to see releases over the course of the whole year. That's one thing that I think that the gaming industry is really starting to get right. This time last year, I was getting excited for Dead Space 2. Now I'm getting excited for Reckoning, for Darkness 2. I like this progression, and I like having releases over the course of the whole year. And I think the industry is really getting better for that. I think letting titles breathe a little bit, that's really good for the industry. When do we think we're going to get Grand Theft Auto 5?
Don't care.
I don't really care either.
I'm sorry, that sounded mean. Not this year, I don't think.
You know what? I was on Zavvi looking up Tingle's Pig Crew.
Tingle's Abomination.
And they had Max Payne 3 as the sight skin ad. And
oh, right, that's coming
That's
out.
March.
I'm like, I really don't care about Max Payne 3.
Oh, I
But
love
Max Payne 2 is really good.
Oh,
Yeah, but this is like, I don't really feel like it's going to be anything like that. Shooters are totally different now.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just going to be a Call of Duty in third person.
I hope not.
The trailers that I've seen,
But
like, it looks good.
I think what I'm trying to get at is I'm not talking about the quality of the game. I'm thinking that the games that are published by Rockstar seem to all kind of mash together now.
I still think Red Dead was so amazing for me. Like, as a player, I loved Red Dead. And even though it wasn't my cup of tea, I think L.A. Noire was really interesting for the game industry. I think Rockstar's kind of been daring lately, and I'll agree. I think Max Payne 3 is a little safe. I think it's going to be fun, and I think I'm going to like it, but it's not going to turn any heads. And then that trailer for Grand Theft Auto 5, I was just kind of like, all right,
More babysitting, hooray!
another urban-based crime thriller with good graphics, and it doesn't have any of the silliness that I miss.
That's because it's
Saints Row the Third. Yeah.
Yeah, I should pick that up. But
really should.
I can see what John's saying. I think that Rockstar, they did a really good job of branching out, and now it feels like they're getting back to the comfort food stuff. And I would rather see more craziness. I would like to see Red Dead Redemption 2 announced this year. I'd really, really like to see that.
You mean Red Dead Revengeance?
Oh, God. Go back to Japan, Stephen. Yeah, 2012, looking like a good year of gaming. I think we're all officially tired here. And it's coming up on 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think we've all had enough podcasting. So, all right. Anybody else with final words?
No. No.
Okay, apparently we're stopping. So thank you, everybody, for listening to this extra long edition of the podcast. We have lots of things lined up for you. I know. I'm going to start playing Shadow Hearts again. I know. Trust me. I'm going to do it. Lots of games to talk about in the first part of the year. We're all getting ready for Reckoning, and then we got that little Mass Effect 3 coming out. So you're going to be seeing a lot of us with Random Encounter. Make sure to keep on the message boards. I'd kind of like to do like a message board podcast at some point where you guys kind of ask us questions, maybe get the discussion going a little bit. So, be on the lookout for that. Make sure to subscribe to us on iTunes and rate us. We'd love to see ratings, and genuinely let us know how it goes. And thanks again for listening, everybody. Hope everybody had a very happy holiday and a very happy new year, and we'll see you all in 2012.